Hello everybody and welcome to today's webinar. Today we have brought together Gemini CAD, HP and Klieverik to discuss sustainable custom printwear and manufacturing. This webinar offers an introduction into the software and technologies that can increase design and production efficiency. We're going to be looking at the industry challenges, new software solutions for printwear, new manufacturing solutions. We'll draw our conclusions and then we will have our Q&A session. Also, towards the end of this webinar, we offer you an introductory invitation to join with all three members of the webinar to have a personalised access and a personalised demo, and we'll be sharing more details of that later today. So, our focus today is on optimizing and streamlining production of printed apparel. The solutions that we present today will exemplify how the entire manufacturing process can be upgraded to generate savings of up to 40% of resources. But first, let's take a look at the printwear industry's main current challenges through the eyes of Gemini CAD Systems as a supplier of technology for this industry. It's our pleasure today to introduce Tryon Luca, CEO and co-founder of Gemini CAD Systems. Gemini CAD Systems was founded in 2004 and is a leading global supplier of technology for industries working with soft, flexible materials. With over 17,000 installations all over the world, Gemini provides leading-edge integration solutions, software and hardware dedicated to the technical, textile and leather industry. Thank you, Tryon.
Thank you so much, Debbie, for the introduction, and thank you everybody for taking the time to join this webinar and allow us to share our views and our technologies with you. From our perspective as a software company providing solutions for apparel, and mainly I'm talking about product design solution and manufacturing solutions. We see this industry with brand new eyes because 5 years ago, our company, but also our competitors, were totally agnostic about the existence of this industry. And the fact that we should be involved and provide solutions. And that's why I would say the number one challenge right now in the industry is that a significant part of the technology suppliers, which are the suppliers of computer-aided design solutions, including our company, were totally ignoring this field. Therefore, there were no dedicated functionalities inside a CAD software for handling printwear. This led to the necessity of everybody involved in this industry to respond by improvising, because the approach of the CAD suppliers was that we give you the contours, the shapes, and then you take over. I don't care. You take it to Illustrator or to Corel, whatever. This created a huge problem and people had to improvise. And now our main goal was to change this situation. Secondly, in terms of the process itself, in apparel, in fashion, in everything referring to textile processing, we use high efficiency nesting. Every time we cut fabric, we are obsessed about the last centimeter, the last inch in fabric consumption. While in printwear process, nobody cared about this. The imposition was on the last position on top of priorities in terms of the process of printing. A lot of white paper, white fabric, inefficient nesting. The third main point, which we try to address because we see it as a challenge right now in the industry, is the fact that once you develop a product, you must think how to go to the market. And if you start to think of going to the market while you are developing the product and not when you finish developing, so if you have this in mind, then the solution you are using, the CAD, for developing the product should be prepared to publish, to be integrated with the e-commerce and everything you need to go to the market. And this link did not exist, and it is our goal to step in and solve the situation. As I told you, in terms of dedicated tools, there are none. People are just using normal software for pre-press, for imposition. And what they do, they need to work by hand and try to solve by hand problems like redimensioning the artwork to match each size, often but by not doing this resizing, instead making one size for all the sizes of the garments, and basically lacking all the functions which are absolutely normal in the process of developing an apparel product. Because let's not forget, we are talking about printwear, but basically we are talking about fashion items. We are talking about apparel. It is unavoidable to start in an apparel CAD, okay? And once you exit from the apparel CAD and you start working in non-specific applications, you lose all the functionalities. In terms of the print files, I cannot even use the word nesting to describe the current situation on the market. It's just a placement, usually inside rectangles, of the shapes. The efficiency is often below 55 or 60%, okay? While if we talk about a real nesting process, we should get a result similar to what you see on the bottom of the page. Imagine that the difference in nesting, which sometimes can go up to 40% from the total length of the print job. By the way, in apparel, we call it marker, but this time I had to adapt my vocabulary and talk in these terms, the print job. If you make a print job which is 40% shorter, it means also the consumption of transport paper will be 40% less. You will spend 40% less time on the printer itself. That means you can say that your printer is 40% more productive, okay? And obviously you will not lose fabric, because otherwise all this white fabric will be wasted. Now, in terms of creating a connection between the development process and how you actually interact with your clients in both directions, if you talk about individual consumers or if you sell, for example, to sport teams, there was no connection. Why? Because development was based on old tools, while e-commerce has evolved. It is based on Magento, Shopify, and other modern platforms, which require a different type of communication. It was our goal to address all these issues and come up with a solution. Our goal was to cover the create part, then selling, and then manufacture. And you might notice this reverse order. First we sell and then we manufacture. And that's obviously the best way to do it in order to have a zero inventory business, instead of manufacturing and then waiting to sell what you just produced. And when you make this shift, and this shift is allowed by the current technology, you have a huge pressure to reduce the time between the moment you have a confirmation of your order and the moment you finish manufacturing. And this is the area where high-end solutions, including how you prepare the print job, how you actually print, and that's why HP is in this webinar with their amazing stitch printer, and the way you make heat transfer, and that's why Klieverik is here. And also I can continue the way you cut, the way you sew, the way you package, everything becomes under pressure, okay? Because people expect to click buy and then to have their products delivered within a reasonable time. You will have the chance to watch immediately a short movie explaining how we try to solve this from the software perspective. Okay, so we are trying to reduce costs and time during product development to create a full integration with e-commerce, okay, and to create a streamlined integration with all the hardware and everything which is following in manufacturing flow. So in terms of developing, let's see a little bit how our solution works.
In Gemini's Pattern Designer, you can create new products from scratch, or you can import your CAD portfolio developed in other applications. We'll use the black and red cycling jersey to best showcase the following: artwork imposition directly on patterns, publish the product to eShop, on-demand manufacturing. Let's start the decoration process. All you have to do is simply drag and drop PDF or Illustrator files onto the patterns. Bring in your background and accurately position logos. AutoMart enables you to place the same artwork element over multiple patterns, with only one action. Most importantly, getting the artwork aligned over seams and zippers is an automated process. Any operation performed on one piece, such as rotate, scale, and reposition, is automatically applied on the other piece in order to obtain a perfect match. Often, artwork elements need to be repositioned on each size for a similar look. Artwork grading will save you the trouble of wasting time when manually position the logo for each size. Now you can use this special feature that will automatically reposition the artwork from size to size, to maintain an identical appearance on the entire size set. Artwork grading also works as a combination between repositioning and scaling. You can easily set a rule for an artwork element to reposition and scale, from size to size, in the same time. Obtain that perfect look on all sizes in seconds. In order to best organize your flow, now you're able to generate custom labels that display model data such as fabric and care instructions. Also, dynamic information like product size, order number, and customer name can be added automatically during manufacturing. To support later manufacturing stages, you can create and share tech packs for your products, based on information embedded during product development. You can declare products assembly instructions while adding various other information. To visualize your product and make final adjustments, you can open the 3D viewer and perform adjustments with real-time impact on the 3D model. Once you've concluded the design, you simply generate and publish the graphical assets and the actionable 3D object that will be used throughout your sales process. At this point, the entire product development stage is complete.
Okay, this is the key feature lists which we believe any CAD which wants to handle apparel with artwork, that means printwear, should fulfill. First of all, it must have the ability to import and imposition ready to print files. Okay, you know very well the most encountered type is Adobe Illustrator and the PDF file, and I'm talking about printable files. Let's not make a confusion and identify an old solution capable just to place a bitmap for visualization on top of a garment as being usable in printing. No, what we need to do is to be capable to handle printing content. And while we do this, we need to be able to handle color calibration and make sure we do not mess up with the colors and everything which is needed from input to output in order to get the results that we wanted. You heard during in the movie a lot of times the word grading, which is quite abnormal in the context of digital printing, because grading is something very specific to fashion and apparel development. But because we are producing printwear, we need to be able to apply this concept of grading on the artwork. That means to be able to modify by fractions of inch or millimeters the size of the artwork from size to size for each garment. This is a basic feature that must be present in the software. And to be able to ensure matching in between parts on the seams, on the zippers, where everywhere you must join two parts, you have a continuation of the artwork. Of course, a 3D viewer is critical in order to quickly visualize and to confirm the positioning of the artwork. Imagine how often it happens that you put a logo on the chest and you see it quite okay on the patterns, but actually on the product, it is too wide. And because the product is wrong, you don't see the edges. And at the end, the last but not least, it's important to be able to publish everything that you created somewhere in the cloud so you can use it later in e-commerce and everything you need to process. Okay, and because I passed to this step, publishing and interaction with the consumer and processing, let's see how this works.
Introducing Apogee, Gemini's fashion tech cloud services that streamlines data exchange between CAD product development, sales channels, and manufacturing. Using Apogee, we are sending our jersey directly into our e-shop with one single click. Let's go to the web shop and look for the newly listed product. As you can see, it's published and ready to be ordered. Since the listed product is linked to a real CAD file, it can be ordered as it is, thus generates revenue before manufacturing the product. This is how Apogee enables you to run a zero inventory business model. You can use our 3D web editor to allow your customers personalize their products. They can add any type of artwork, such as images and text, while visualizing their edits. By engaging your customers in the design process, you are increasing brand loyalty and generate additional revenue. Once the customer places the order, it's automatically fetched by Apogee and customers' edits are processed. Apogee allows you to group multiple customer orders and automatically generate manufacturing files that will be used for printing and cutting.
Everything you see here happens in the cloud. Okay.
Here is our print file for the production order, automatically nested, with a high efficiency.
The output of the cloud is the print job.
Beside individual orders, you can also generate team orders, in a matter of seconds. Apogee has a great tool just for that. Personalizing the products with variable data, such as names and numbers, is now a fast and easy process. All the variable data is automatically placed on the products, without any additional work. Apogee will process the order and generate production files automatically. We can proceed with manufacturing.
So, again, in a nutshell, in order to be able to connect to e-commerce, you need to ensure a seamless transfer of data from product development to your e-shop, okay? And in order to do this, you need to have an umbrella cloud solution to be able to pass information, to have a storage area, and to communicate with the shop, and then retrieve orders from the shop and do the processing and everything, okay? And this is what Apogee is doing, and it must be connected, and it is connected through APIs through to various e-commerce platforms such as Shopify, Magento, WooCommerce, and so on. An important feature that we provide is the 3D web customization tool, which will be used by consumers in the eShop so they can create their own designs. Okay, but in the same time, we have a dedicated feature for team orders. That means you can quickly process data and generate orders for, I don't know, 35 players in a team, each one with their own particular sizes and, of course, digital decoration. And I want to insist on this because only if you have the CAD solution integrated with a printing solution, you can generate a t-shirt which is made to measure, but in the same time with customized print content. Okay, and once you get the orders from your customers, you need to process them in the cloud. Okay, that means you need to do nesting, you need to create the print file, the cut file, and everything you need for production. And you need to have this process within a reliable, secure, and scalable environment. That's why we choose Microsoft Azure to host our services. That means you'll have no problems on Black Friday or whenever you have a production peak. At the end, what you get from this, it's a very high efficiency nesting, which compared to the old way of doing things will guarantee a huge saving, along with the benefits of having everything customized, fully processed in the cloud with zero human intervention. And this is the print job that we generate. And this is the print job that we must pass to the printer. Of course, we are a software provider. We need to go and become physical. And this is where HP is doing a great job with the Stitch printer. However, we are also empowering the printer, because if you produce the same number of t-shirts, but with a significantly shorter marker, that means your printer will become more productive. And this is what we do. And this is how we can claim that our solution really provides you a sustainable way of doing printwear. Less fabric, less ink, less paper. And let's see also how we print. Debbie?
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. It's so much information, isn't it? It's just the most incredible time at the moment, how our industry is changing and the resources and the technologies we have at our fingertips that can make such huge savings across the board. I don't think any of us can afford to ignore them. We're going to move on and we're going to talk to Paolo Tettamanti from HP. Paolo is the worldwide product manager for HP Apparel. And of course, anybody who isn't familiar with HP are an American multinational information technology company headquartered in Palo Alto in California. They develop personal computers, as we know, printers and supplies, and as well as the HP Stitch, which Paolo is going to talk all about today. Paolo, thank you, and we look forward to hearing your presentation.
Okay, thank you very much, Debbie. Thank you to everyone to be here. We move a little bit inside the printer. What is HP? What is the HP Stitch? And thank you very much for the nice presentation and demonstration that Luca gave us for Gemini CAD Systems. So, some information regarding HP. As maybe you know, HP is come into the sublimation market in 2019. We enter in the sublimation market with a vision, innovation to help customer to make a difference. Based on the knowledges and experiences that we made in different markets with our different printing platforms, we design a technology to help on some well-known challenges in the market. They are the ones that I'm showing you. The first one is the color management. That is really something, a really challenge in this market. The second one is unattended printing. Piezo technology is associated to babysitting printers, check nozzles, speed, to be sure to get high productivity and good image quality. And the last one, but it's not the last one, is ease of use. Dye sublimation is a difficult process and we want to make it easier for all. Now, I'd like to give you some information regarding the technology behind the HP stitch. As I said before, we design a sublimation printer, keeping in mind the possibility to help customers to reduce or to avoid the challenges I previously described. What is the biggest technology difference we have versus the piezo is that we are using the thermal inkjet technology. Thermal inkjet ink, one printer, and one ink to print on transfer paper or direct to fabric means versatility. And thermal inkjet printers, 1200 dpi native resolution, producing high quality and deep colors at high speed. They are user replaceable printers, allowing your operator to replace them, maintaining the printer up and running in a very short time. How we differentiate ourselves in color technology. Color technology in the hardware. In the printer with a hidden spectrophotometer to set color references to produce same color over time and printer to printer. Color technology in our software with HP Smart Color tool with a specific RIP software to manage color easily. And technology in the cloud. HP PrintOS, that is our cloud solution, allows printer color references to be uploaded to the cloud and downloaded whenever needed for different printers and production sites. PrintOS is also helping you to manage your printers remotely through any device such as a PC, phone, or tablet. And the third one is how we differentiate ourselves for reliability and efficiency. HP Stitch has a drying technology that allows you to dry the print in the print zone, removing the cockling effect and the ink bleeding. An automatic cleaning technology, a technology that eliminates the need for manual cleaning and manual nozzle check. A bending control technology with an optical sensor checking and controlling media feed and media advance, and an automatic nozzle compensation technology. Our native technology, as I said before, has 1200 dpi, and we have a redundancy of nozzles, and the system is managing itself. So when a nozzle is out, it can be compensated automatically by the system, up to 30% of nozzles replacement per printed. Let's have a look now to the HP Stitch S series product portfolio. The three printers that we saw here are dye sublimation printers. Sublimation printer means you print with sublimation ink, and sublimation ink is base for polyester material. The minimum polyester quantity in your fabric to get a good final result should be around 70%. In the market, there are now a lot of new blends material you will never think they can be polyester based, and also the recycled polyester. The print direct to fabric or on transfer paper is depending on the stretchability of your fabric. We have two printers, 64 inches, the Stitch 300 and the Stitch 500, and one printer to 3.2 meter width. The Stitch 300 we categorize as an entry-level printer. The Stitch 500 is our productivity model, while the Stitch 1000 is our super wide industrial model. The Stitch 300 and the Stitch 500 are loading and unloading the material from the front, saving space and operator time to move up and down to manage rolls. The Stitch 500 has a 3 liters ink cartridges for more continued production, and they are replaceable on the fly. The Stitch 1000 has 10 liters cartridges, getting the same benefits. But remember, the Stitch 1000 is an industrial printer. For this printer, there is also a dual roll option to increase productivity, printing two designs on two different rolls at the same time. All printers are producing, as I said before, high quality images and deep colors. Remember that our printers have the same inkjet technology, the same printed technology, and the same ink technology. You can have a Stitch 300 or a Stitch 500 or a Stitch 1000, one near the other, and your output, your colors, and your technology is exactly the same. Let's move now to see them in action in our demo center in Barcelona, where my colleague Chris has received the print file from Gemini CAD Systems, and he has printed them on the HP Stitch S series.
Thank you, Paolo, for introducing me. Let me introduce in a few minutes on the Stitch series. I bring you here to our S500. Our S500 is the machine for sportswear production. Right now I'm printing on paper, which later on the people from Klieverik will transfer onto the textile. But let me explain a few words about my machine, okay? So, it's a very quick machine for sportswear. Looking at the carriage, moves up and down. It goes to an automatic maintenance system. Maintenance is very hand labor. Well, we took it out. We have an automatic maintenance system here, which take care of everything. So look at my hands, they're completely clean because I don't have to put my hands into the machine every day, okay? What else is important in our printers, and this goes for all the printers that I'm going to show you today, is our drying system. We have a drop and dry drying system, which means that we're going to print, and at the same moment with an airflow we're going to dry and control the droplets, the bleed, but also the cockling of our print, okay? So look at this. By the way, guys, really nice designs. Once it's finished, I would like to have one of those t-shirts on my body, okay? So this one, very nice, 500, good machine, good productivity. But you guys, you send me two different files, and I want to benefit from the production capacity that I have in here. So let me bring you to our next machine, okay? And here we're talking about the S300. Okay, it's the small brother or sister, as you wish, from our S500. Does exactly the same, but it's a little bit slower. It's a little bit more price efficient when you have to buy it, okay? Again, what's important, look, very nice print, nice pickup, no cockling on the prints whatsoever. Also, what's important is built-in to control and to have constant color. We have built-in a spectrophotometer, which makes that we can put references and repeat and be color repetitive correct over time and from printer to printer, okay? So also important is those printers can go against the wall. So my loading roll is in the front, but also my pickup roll is in the front, which is very easy. You don't need a lot of space to put those printers in. Now let me bring you, because you really asked me to do a lot of production, let me bring you to our S1000, which is the bigger brother of everything what we had seen before. If your production is really high, okay, then we can count on our S1000. Here I set up my S1000 in a dual roll configuration, and we're printing at the speed of 130 square meters an hour. So really good, very quick, automatic maintenance, like I said before. And maybe that's it. Okay, thank you very much. I'll give it back to you, Paolo, and ciao to everybody. Bye.
Thank you, Chris. It's really interesting to understand that there is a connection between what I said and what you saw in the video. Okay, to recap the benefit with our HP Stitch die sub technology. I place a sentence in the slide that is, we are providing a working environment to simplify daily printing operation, saving time and costs. How we can do that? I want just to mention three points. The first one is for sure ease of use. The printer manages many steps automatically, making it a near foolproof system. Easily replaceable printheads, keeps pressure of peak production times, and no complexity in the printer usage. The unattended printing. Automatic printer controls to print high quality without babysitting, and production under control. Thanks to our cloud software, PrintOS, the printers are fully under control. Remote printers control, printers fleet management, and you can catch your data, the printing data, and you can download it offline for your data analysis on your PC. So you have exactly the information, what you printed and the numbers. This is why I say before, this is a working environment. We are not just promoting or giving you the possibility to play the game with a different printer, with a different technology, but this is a system, is a working environment. Okay, there are a lot of information on HP Stitch and in internet, but I suggest you to visit the site I'm just showing you now, www.hpvirtualbooth.com, where you can find a lot of information and also some customers' videos. They are giving you information what they think about the Stitch. To conclude my speech, in this short presentation, I gave you a fast overview of what is the technology behind the HP Stitch sublimation printers and what are the main differences we have with the other players in this market. But there is indeed much more to discover on our printers than what I explained you in the last minutes. Thank you very much. So I pass now to Debbie. Thank you.
Thank you, Paolo. What a great presentation. It's amazing to see, isn't it? It's amazing to watch how all of this technology is evolving and how intuitive and specialized it has become, but so easy to use. So we have, using Gemini CAD software, we have created our markers, or as in the print trade, our print job. We've printed it, and now we have to transfer that process. So it's my pleasure to hand you over to John Selfout, Commercial Director of Klieverik. Klieverik is a dynamic company focused on rotary thermo-processing equipment for advanced textiles. With more than 40 years experience, they design and manufacture and install and maintain innovative industrial machinery. Klieverik manufactures standalone equipment and complete production lines, and John is going to tell us more about that process and that equipment today. John, thank you so much.
Oh, thank you very much, Debbie, and thank you to the HP team for providing us the printed paper. A great welcome to you all to the Klieverik section of the webinar. The Klieverik equipment deals with the final step in the printing process, and it is actually the start of making the actual product. Now, for die sublimation, a lot of items come together and a lot of items are needed, and finally they all come together at the heat press, the calendar. Here, the final quality is determined. So if you fail at the calendar, your textile, your ink, your paper, and all your efforts will have gone to waste. Now, how to select the right calendar? Besides looking for a good quality brand, you have to ask yourselves and answer the following 3 questions. What is the working with you're going to work with? The printing capacity, and are you going to work roll to roll, or do you handle cut pieces as well? Now, for sportswear and fashion, the typical roller width is up to 64 inches. There are some applications where you can work around 2 meters. You do that for bed sheeting and for the gaming industry. And the largest ones, the 10-footer and the 5-meter, they're typically used for the signage industry. Now to the capacity. You have to consider the total printer output, but then on a daily basis. Don't do it on an hourly basis, but accumulate for the whole day. And also think about future expansions. After all, consider that a calendar has a lifetime of 20 or easily 30 years, so you don't want to start off with a too small a machine. And finally, the model. Now, they are the typical hybrid calendars, the ones you see on the right side with the table in front, and they can work with pre-cut textile pieces and rolls as well. For the roll-to-roll process, the output is, however, better and you have a more efficient process. The wraparound angle down the drum is higher, the surface you use at the total width is bigger, so your total output will be much bigger. So the next video shows you what is needed to set up the calendar, which you do once in a day, and then what you do to load the roll of printed paper and the textile. With this video, we'd like to show you the transfer printing process on a Klieverik calendar. First, you start with heating up the machine. Whilst heating up, you can feed the protection paper. This protection paper is recommended as it prevents contamination of the transfer belt. And with the use of this paper, you prevent undesired reprints on the fabric and extends the lifetime of your belt as well. The paper is fed through the machine and follows the transfer belt. It is winded up at the back side of the machine. Using tape on the paper core makes it easier to get winding started. Then you load the printed paper roll. And the empty shaft. Here you wind up the printed paper that is used. Now follows the textile roll. Because textile rolls come with different diameters of course, a rod is used with cones. These cones center the roll or are used as a stop block, like in this case. The roll is put in the machine and please check the alignment with the printed paper. It is important to align the fabric to the paper and to feed it in correctly in the machine. As soon as the fabric is in the machine, you can start feeding the printed paper. By cutting the front end in a V-shape, feeding is easier as the paper centers itself. The textile is winded at the back of the machine. The used printed paper comes out at the front, and here it is important to separate the paper immediately from the printed textile. And onto the gore. You see the printed textile coming out running to the back. The process runs now by itself. No operator is actually needed. The textile winder is what we call a contact winder. It works without a shaft and makes it possible to take already the first part of the printed textile to the cutter, while the rest of the production continues. The winder has a separate motor and the winding speed can be adjusted. This makes it possible to wind a sensitive, stretchy material almost without tension, but also makes it possible to make a nice stiff roll. Bigger and smaller machines are available for different outputs. The capacity matches the today's printers. These machines work according to the same principles and deliver the same quality print. Now, what makes a calendar a good calendar? You'll have to look at several items. Most important are the heating system, the belt, the way you transfer the material, and the ease of use. Now here you see a schematic of a transfer or a belt calendar. In the center you see the drum with a lot of heating elements. The textile and the printed paper are guided around the drum, and the belt offers the required pressure. A good calendar works with thermal oil to be stable in the temperature. At Klieverik, we use a system in which the drum is always filled with oil completely. So there are no cold areas, and we make full use of the diameter of the drum. The belt is critical as well. It gives the pressure and absorbs the gases from the process. And a long belt prevents distortion of sharpness of the print and ensures a very long lifetime of your belt. And finally, we talk about the ease of use, and that is ensured by lightweight shafts, a well-defined tension control, and a good access to the machine parts. Now, let's listen to what customer has to say about the equipment, and that will speak for itself very much.
So seriously, my Klieverik is the best machine I've ever bought. It's the only machine I've ever bought that I've never had any problems with. All my printers, whatever, they're always dying, heads, this and that. My Klieverik is bulletproof. I cannot kill it if I try. It's awesome.
And what about your belt? When is your belt change?
We're replacing our belt, and it's been 9 years. So there you go.
Okay. Oh, thanks.
Great machine.
So this is genuine reaction from a customer. We didn't pay him for this. Finally, what is the arguments to consider a Klieverik? Robust design, longevity, reliability, the ease of operation, because you have to handle it. The excellent temperature control, because that's the basis of your good color development. Small print, footprint, a compact design, and of course, minimum consumption of spare parts and a very good service. Well, this brings me to the end of my part of the section. Thank you very much. And now I'd like to hand over back to Gemini for the final step in the manufacturing process.
Yes, indeed, it is needed to hand over back to Gemini because, as John mentioned, one of the best way to produce is to go roll to roll. It is the most efficient way, and just like Paolo said, you don't need to babysit the machines. You just put the roll either in the printer or in the calendar, and it is done. But after you do this, you need to cut the parts. And now you have a roll of printed items, and this is a brief overview how we do this in Gemini. This is a movie. This is a technology that we can apply virtually on any single ply cutter. Now you will see the example on a laser.
After printing and transfer, the printed roll of fabric reaches the cutting room. Technology provided by Gemini's will accurately handle the cutting and bundling processes. For perfectly cut markers, we developed algorithms that allows Gemini's Vision Cut to quickly identify the position of printed parts and compensate any fabric distortion. Let's see how it works. First, open the cut file that was automatically generated by Apogee. Then with just one press of a button, the cut file is perfectly overlapped with the printed fabric. Once the matching is executed, the cutting starts. Vision Cut is a standalone solution, therefore it can be deployed on any cutter. Cut Collect is a smart pick by light, drop by light system, designed to help you bundle correctly the cut parts. 2 projectors highlight the pieces on the conveyor and indicate the right container for each of them. The system can also manage orders with products from multiple fabrics. Gemini's cutting and bundling solution is plug and play, therefore it can be easily deployed on any cutter. Let's see the products.
There are parts to present also after cutting, not necessarily the topic that we want to follow in this webinar. We need to sew, we need to prepare the packaging and delivering and everything. At the end of this process, what we are trying to obtain is a sustainable product. And for you, in order to become a sustainable producer, you need to consider updating the technology that you are using. From the product development process all the way to the connection to your e-shop and the way you process, the way you use the cloud in order to have a scalable and virtually cost-free in terms of initial investment solution, and then how you go to manufacturing. Not any kind of manufacturing, you must aim to an automated process. And there are small items, which of course we did not have the time in today's webinar to insist upon, such as the automatic nesting in the cloud, or such as the spectrophotometer included in the printer. I really like, Paolo, your babysitting the printer. This is something I definitely don't like to do. Or a small feature which impressed me in the Klieverik machine, the fact that you actually can cut, let's say, 10 meters of a print job, remove the fabric, going to the cutter, while the calendar is still working and accumulating fabric. Why it can do this? Because it has this transfer belt. How did you call it, John? The contact belt is that flat surface, which is allowing also not to have tensions, but also to have a buffer to replace the rolls. All these small items, of course, could not be fully presented in today's webinar. So our goal is to raise your interest and make you understand that things are happening in the technology, allowing you to automate the process and become more efficient and sustainable. Okay, and we wait for you to come forward, be proactive, and try to contact us and try to get more information and understand how these technologies can contribute to your success. Debbie, if you want to take over and put some conclusions on today's discussion and maybe wait for some questions from the audience.
Wow, we've learned so much, haven't we, in such a short space of time? It's so much to take on board, but you know, it amazes me daily how quickly our industry is changing and how all of these technologies used together in a streamlined, smart manufacturing way can save so many resources. So let's have a look at our conclusions for today. Look at the savings. I remember Tryon earlier on talked about the design time that we can save, 60% of design time, but just look at the waste here in resources. So not just design time, you know, pre-press, all of that, we're really speeding things up. We're saving time, fabric, ink, an incredible amount of paper and energy. You know, we really do have the tools at our fingertips now to manufacture sustainably. Paolo, great presentation on the HP Stitch, which is an incredible technology, reliable, unattended printing, incredibly easy to use. And it really does let us get production under control, which is so important. And we heard from John at Klieverik how robust technology is so important too, with ease of operation, a minimum consumption of spare parts, and, you know, first-class service. We need our machinery to work first time, every time. So as Tryon mentioned, we know we really want to engage with you throughout this webinar and beyond. And we'd really encourage you to get in touch. The team of Gemini, HP and Klieverik are all offering 30-day free access to the CAD experts and technicians who can really help you rationalize your workflow and help you talk you through the fine points of your current workflow scenarios and how utilizing technology and software together, you can move forward and manufacture sustainably. Also, you know, they will give hardware access too. So not only will you create your files using the CAD team at Gemini CAD, but you'll also have something tangible. You know, it will be printed and then transferred over on the HP stitch. So I do encourage you to visit geminicad.com/giveaway. So before we finish, as promised, we have a Q&A session for you today. And we're going to bring the team back together. If everyone can put their microphones on and videos, that would be great. We are short of time, so let's go with a question for each of us. So perhaps, Tryon, perhaps you could answer this question that's come in. What do you mean by streamlining information throughout the process, and why is that relevant?
It is relevant, Debbie, because the situation which exists today in the industry is the result of lack of communication in between suppliers of technology. And this is what we need to solve to enable our clients to create information once and use it throughout the process. You heard Paolo talking about the PrintOS. Okay, that's the cloud solution offered by HP, which helps you manage the printing process in your printing room. Well, how about the design solution is integrated with the e-commerce, with the processing cloud, and the output, which is a printing job, is integrated with the PrintOS. No need to download, upload, I don't know, send files by emails. Everything is connected. The information is passed from one stage to another. And if I need a certain temperature on the Klieverik calendar to ensure the best results for this particular fabric, the information about the fabric, I'm using this type of polyester from this supplier, is available during the product development. So I can pass this information all the way to the machine. This is the integration that we are not only aiming for, but this is the integration which is available today and can really boost your production.
That's great. Thank you. Great answer. Paolo, a question for you. I have different printers from different brands, and anytime I want or need to do a reprint of the customer, we've all had this issue. I need to check back on which printer it was printed on, so you end up batching jobs. And when you said you have an embedded spectrophotometer, how is that helping to maintain the colors, and how does it work?
I try to explain in the more clear answer. Okay. When the stitch is installed, a basis calibration is done and stored. Then when we print on a media, a reference is printed and measured. This is the spectrophotometer is doing that. This makes it possible to compensate for changes in the system and provides color stability over time. And with PrintOS, already mentioned, this can be shared with the other stitch printers to ensure the same output. So it is not needed to wait for a printer to be ready with a product. You can just take any available printer and the production is not disturbed. This is my explanation.
Great explanation. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, we're almost out of time. So let's whiz on to the next question. John, a question for you. Why is it so important to invest in a reliable solution for heat transfer printing?
Well, you want a reliable machine in any way, and that's always the case. But if you look at this system, you change your business model. You sell first, and then you manufacture. That means at the moment that the customer has ordered, he is waiting for his order. So the time is compressed for manufacturing, delivering, and even the significance of having equipment working, always available, has become even more severe in this whole new approach. Secondly, you also have to remember that if you look at the total cost of your product you deliver, textile, ink, energy, people, it's much higher in priority than actually the depreciation of your equipment. So if you have the availability of money, you want to put together a project, you really should emphasis on reliability. That is the way you can make the money. You must be able to deliver and to deliver first time right. And that's in basic the essence why you need robust, reliable equipment.
Absolutely. We don't have time for any downtime these days, do we? Everything's getting faster and faster and faster and much more on demand. I'm afraid we've run out of time for today. We could have asked, there are so many more questions, and I could have asked a few too. So it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you everybody for joining us today. Please do visit www.GeminiCAD/giveaway. I hope I've got that right. And please do engage with us. You know, we do want this to be a tangible experience. And we do want to hear from you and help with your workflow as we all move forward to an era of sustainable manufacturing. Thank you for joining us today. It's my pleasure to bring everything to a close, and we look forward to seeing you again very, very soon to continue this journey. Thank you.